Muslim cleric in prayed for peace and tolerance in the country, urging the population to respect COVID-19 prevention measures. In this edition, get reports on prayer sessions in Yaoundé and regions. Sipa, which is a traditional tattoo commonly worn by Muslim women in the northern part of the country, is increasingly gaining trend during this festive period. The 7:30 news tonight takes you into a Sipa beauty salon. As the Indomitable Lions prepare to roar during the Olympic Games, the 7:30 news tonight profiles Emmanuel Eseme Alogbede, a track and field athlete who has broken several records at only 28 years and looks forward to medals in Tokyo. And those are top stories. Good evening and thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 news. I am Gladys Tata on Anchor.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Welcome back. The Imam of the Chinga Islamic Complex has called on Muslim adepts to shun acts of corruption, promote virtues of tolerance and gender equality for a peaceful Cameroon. Buba Goigoi was speaking in a prayer session today as Muslim faithful observe Feast of Tabaski. Details with Romeo Kenye.
A sermon that rekindles hopes in worshippers. The presiding imam centers homily on peace, corruption, tolerance, discipline and zakat, that is alms given to assist the needy in the society.
And to encourage them in their prayer to continue to pray so that peace can return to Cameroon. We are living in a very difficult situation now, where we cannot dissociate families, friends, Cameroonians.
Preaching from Surah chapters 16 verse 97 and 33 verses 35, Imam Buba Goigoi equally stressed on gender equality, with women given a greater role in the community.
I pray the Lord to erect barriers, rampart, against which all those who in one way or other would like to destabilize our nation to be reduced to ashes. And I say that there is no doubt, together it is always possible to overcome problems, no matter how tough they may be.
The symbolic slaughtering of the ram was today's high point of prayers, with faithful to carry out similar acts in homes.
The take-home message for Muslims at the Omnisport Prayer Ground in Yaoundé was peace, tolerance, financial integrity, vigilance. The Central Imam El-Hajj Modibo Halilu Ibrahima, who delivered the Tabaski Day message here, also called for responsible behavior in the face of the deadly coronavirus. Muslims who attended prayers here shared the take-home message with our reporter Nweya Ben Modika.
The message given by our Central Imam Modibo Halilu, he said that we should kill our animal. The animal should be a healthy animal, bought with your money. And then for the coronavirus, that we should fight against the coronavirus. We should make our prayer. All the Muslim people are all respecting the vaccination. We are waiting for the vaccination to come in our mosque so that we can take the vaccination. And then respect all the Cameroonians, and then respect the head of the state given his age.
At the Yaoundé Central Mosque in the Bricketerie neighborhood, the Grand Imam's message on peace and social cohesion graced Tabaski prayers, as you tell us, Gerard Nanji, in the following report.
A sea of Muslim faithful converged on the Yaoundé Central Mosque for special prayers to mark the Feast of Sacrifice. The Grand Imam, Muhammad Saminu, admonished faithful to be agents of peace and social cohesion. According to him, Islam is a religion of light to humanity. Raising them must stand against violence, terrorism, division, insubordination and corruption.
Dieu est le Seigneur de l'univers. Everyone has to have the fear of Allah because He is our creator. There is rampant corruption in the world today. Islam totally condemns corruption and tribalism in all its forms.
In strict Muslim tradition, there was the symbolic slaughtering of the lamb to replicate the obedience of Ibrahim to offer his son Ishmael to Allah. Faithful could then return home and sacrifice a sheep or goat, which becomes the basis for the Feast of Tabaski.
Peace and stability in Cameroon was key request during prayers at the second central mosque in Brigaderie here in Yaoundé, where Muslims from the Bamum community converged for prayers. Imam Sheikh Mustafa Sango led the prayers during this significant feast on the Muslim calendar. Alice Mbey has more.
At the second central mosque, Brigaderie in Yaoundé, Muslims of the Bamum community gathered to listen to the message of peace, love and patriotism from the Imam.
In order for reinforce our relationship with Abraham, the father of monotheism, and to let us know that beyond the blood and flesh of the immolate animal, we are striving for reverential fear of Allah.
There was a symbolic repetition of Abraham's sacrifice of Aram in the place of his son.
We are perpetuate what Prophet Ibrahim has done. He have received a message from the Holy God asking him to sacrifice his son. The God sent him a goat.
Faithfuls say they were impressed with the message.
I have written that it is good to make sacrifices because it can prevent so many bad things from happening to us.
The Muslims also prayed for stability, prosperity, economic development, fight against fake news, cyber criminality and security of the presidential couple.
The sacredness of human life was highlighted during Tabaski prayers at the Yaoundé 7th Council. Imam Husseini Jebo led the prayers, which started off celebrations of the Muslim Feast of Sacrifice. Elvis Teke has the details.
The head of the Muslim community in Corbison writes in the style of his ancestors who brought Islam to Africa. Imam Husseini Jibo seeks to keep the tradition alive despite the advent of modernity. The Muslim cleric preached on the sacredness of human life, hammering on the values of love, tolerance and forgiveness in his homily.
Life is sacred. You cannot kill one another. If God wanted Nabi Ibrahim to sacrifice his son, he could not send animal in substitution. So people should understand that a human being is sacred.
The Imam, who is also Brigadier General and commander of the 1st Gendarmerie region with headquarters in Yaoundé, called on the Muslim community in Yaoundé 7 to be law-abiding.
The COVID-19, as our Imam rightly said, he reminded us of the barrier measures.
The Feast of the Sacrifice in Corbison was graced with an extravaganza.
Muslim faithful at the Central Mosque in Yaoundé on their part have been enjoined to be law-abiding and responsible citizens as they celebrate the Feast of Tabaski. The Imam of the Central Mosque, El Haji Abubakar Abdullahi, made the call during his sermon to Muslims who converged for the Al-LKB. Gilbert Ongene has more.
The respect of barrier measures against the COVID-19 is a watchword here as Muslim faithful gather for the Eid el-Kabir.
Abraham was someone that have a very great faith. So we don't have to imitate him only in slaughtering the animal, but we have to follow the faith of Abraham with a strong faith.
After praying for peace in Cameroon and around the world, the Imam of the Central Mosque slaughtered a ram, a ritual that was performed by Muslim faithful in their homes.
I need just one single for myself, but the family is there and the neighbors also. Also, the way to strengthen this way of living together. The other rams are not for myself and my family, but it's also for the neighbors.
The feast continues in homes with various meals on the menu.
And on our colorful page on this news, we take you to the beautician to discover the Sipa, a beautiful treat for women of the north region of Cameroon. During feasts like the Tabaski, they would adorn themselves with tattoos and other fancy body designs, an age-old tradition that we have the pleasure of discovering through Luisa Akwanka's reporting.
With the aid of an improvised pointed object and ink of different color types, designs of varied shapes and sizes are etched on the skin of women of the North region, desirous of donning this body art known as the sipa to enhance their appearance. Nafisatu is one of the many traditional tattoo artists whose services are scrambled for.
We feel more fulfilled when our hands and feet are decorated with the henna.
For a price range of between 1,000 and 5,000 CFA francs per client, a woman can obtain any design of her choice, which Nafisatu materializes, an activity she says is worth its salt.
It is profitable. I can get up to 50,000 francs CFA daily, especially during festive periods.
The traditional beautification technique known as the sipa, beyond its cosmetic relevance, is equally cherished as a cultural legacy which is preserved jealously as an integral part of the identity of the peoples of northern Cameroon.
Well, we shall be coming back to celebrations of the Feast of the Tabaski in other regions in the course of this newscast. Let's talk other news now. Making dredging at the port of Douala is an income-generating activity through the exploitation of sediments that perturbs maritime navigation is one of the concerns of the Dredging Management Unit. The unit has also taken as challenge to maintain the access channel, the quays and docks in a navigable state, with the sediments collected from the seabeds also being used to reclaim land for other port services. Beatrice Ngum has more.
Waste from surrounding rivers flowing into the waters of the port of Douala, sand, grass, plastic bottles and other sediment that narrows water depth, making it difficult for ships to harbor.
It reduces the depth of the channel, so now we are working like we are deepening the channel again. We started from an average depth of the channel of 4 meters. Now at this stage, we are 6.7 meter depth.
Over the past, some areas of the waterway have remained unexploited, especially in the timber exportation part of the port. Reasons: ships could not dock here due to reduced depth. Since the dredging started, port waterways that was not into use is gradually being put into use.
The dolphin construction was not able to receive the vessel, so we need to dredge. This material will be used to reclaim this area and other parts.
The sediment sucked from the seabed to clear the access channel is discharged here. In doing this, new port areas are developed. In all, 8 of such sediment disposal points are envisaged across the port of Douala.
We now take you to the South region, where the people of Sola, a locality in Bipindi subdivision of the Ocean Division, are now connected to other parts of the country. This is thanks to the inauguration of a multimedia center, baptized Felix Edmond Itundi, the late manager of a transport agency. The multimedia center is the fruit of a partnership of 2 associations. Cyril Nwazeke reports that the ceremony equally saw the award of prizes and school kits to some meritorious students of the locality.
An equipped multimedia center to connect people of Nsola in Bipindi subdivision to the rest of the world is the learning process of students of the locality, the fruit of a partnership between the Association of Sons and Daughters of Bipindi and Lolodorf, Arbilo, and an association known as Kios. The presidents of Arbilo, Joseph Emmanuel Bana and Laure Wungli of Kios, enjoyed the students to make good use of the center.
Today, this is the reality. People of this village can see what is computer. The next step is to connect this multimedia center to internet.
The best students of the locality were during the ceremony awarded prizes and received school kits for the next school year. The DO and elite of Bipindi on their part thanked the associations for the gesture. The inaugurated multimedia center at the campus of the Atok Boga High School was baptized Felix Edmond Etundi, the late manager of a popular travel agency in the country.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
With over 300,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine already administered, health experts are now expanding vaccine eligibility in order to reach herd immunity. Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Andreas Njor, are standing by at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to discuss this priority of the government's. Hi, Baldwin. Good evening. You're welcome.
Good evening to you, Gladys Tata. It remains one of the objectives of the National Immunization Program during this vaccination campaign against the coronavirus nationwide, how to reach herd immunity. After this mass vaccination campaign we have had in the country, it's true that the vaccination continues. Let's find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Andreas Njor of the National Immunization Program, to what extent we have reached, to what extent are we in order to reach herd immunity. Good evening to you, Dr. Andreas Njor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
At what level are we in order for us to reach herd immunity in Cameroon during this vaccination exercise?
Thank you so much. It's good to note that following the mass campaign we had in the country, we have been able to vaccinate more than 310,000 persons. It was a great success for the program. But again, this gives us just over 2% of the target population vaccinated. And at the moment in the country, we have less than 150,000 doses. For us to attain herd immunity, is still far-fetched because using all of our vaccines, we would have vaccinated just 4%.
So what does it? What is left for us to reach the herd immunity?
There is an urgent need for us to get more vaccines so we don't get out of stock, to be able to vaccinate the rest of the population to attain at least 40% of Cameroonian targeted vaccination.
About how many of these vaccines?
So we will need close to 12 million doses of vaccine, and hopefully, if the country successfully gets the Johnson & Johnson, we think it will gradually take us towards our target.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andreas Njor, for that reassurance. Close to 12 million doses of the vaccines needed for the country to reach herd immunity. We are slowly but surely getting there, but the take-home message from here remains that of encouraging Cameroonians to have themselves vaccinated nationwide against the coronavirus. Back to you, Gladys Tata.
Thank you very much, Baldwin. Hope to be in your company, as we always say, tomorrow, same time. On to this advertorial, Cameroon Telecommunications, Camtel, now shares its optical fiber with Gabon, permitting both nations to interconnect networks. The optical fiber laid underground stretches 22 kilometers from Bitam in Gabon to Kiosi in Cameroon. An inauguration ceremony to that effect took place in Mayok, a locality in Gabon, with Cameroon represented by Post and Telecommunications Minister Minette Libombe Lily Keng. Patience Wingo in the following report presents the stakes of the project.
It is inside this box that Cameroon and Gabon have merged their networks via the optical fiber. The interconnection hub between Cameroon and Gabon on this bridge in Meokie in Gabon is the realization of Camtel's project to endow the sub-region with high-speed telecommunications network. This development is the spin-off of the Central Africa Backbone projects put in place by CEMAC heads of state and financed by the African Development Bank. With significant technological advancements, Camtel has the wherewithal to share her optical fiber with neighboring countries. These include interconnection between Cameroon and Chad by land, Nigeria by land, Equatorial Guinea by sea, and now Gabon by land.
To be interconnected, everyone has to do his own part. The Gabon sides make their part through on the bridge, and the Cameroon sides also came from QC to that bridge, and we link it at the level of the bridge.
The interconnectivity would permit both countries to have backup systems in the networks in each other's territory.
All our signals are passing through optical fiber.
and it carries thousands of services.
Gabonese Minister of Communication and Digital Economy Edgar Anise Mbumbu Miyaku and the representative of the International Telecommunication Union for Central Africa and Madagascar, Jean-Jacques Massima Langi, were part of the launching ceremony of the interconnection hub between Cameroon and Gabon in Meokie.
It's a great day for our sub-region Central Africa because through this interconnection, our different economy are really going to achieve more, because you know that ICT are the key driver of development.
From Gabon, Camtel will be extending its optical fiber to the Central African Republic and the Republic of Congo.
And we continue with our reports on the Tabaski feast. This time we take you to Garoua, where Muslims have heeded to the call for Tabaski prayers in their numbers. On the occasion, they were urged by the Lamido of Garoua, His Royal Majesty Ibrahim El Rashidini, to be honest in their dealings in order to be at peace with Allah and the law. Wilson Mengole reports from Garoua.
Muslim faithful at the Pumpumre prayer ground in Garoua, raising their voices high to Allah on the occasion of the feast of Tabaski. The Imam of the Pumpumre Mosque, Modibo Jafaru Marafa, set the tone for the prayers as he called on Allah to pardon the sins of the faithful. The prayer ground witnessed the presence of the governor of the North Region, Jean Abate Idi, and the Archbishop of the Garoua Archdiocese, Faustin Ambassador, who are non-Muslims. An indication that Garoua is a land of religious tolerance. The prayer marking the feast of Tabaski in the North Regional capital was crowned with the slaughtering of a sheep, a symbol of sacrifice to Allah.
At Madafa, North Region, the Imam prayed for peace and unity in Cameroon and condemned acts of violence that jeopardize togetherness. He also enjoined his brethren to follow the example of Abraham, who was ready to sacrifice his son. As you tell us, Sylvester Atemken from Garoua.
The Tabaski feast in Mada was marked by special prayers with the Imam expounding on the symbolism of the sacrificial lamb, while calling on his brethren to stick to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. He also exhorted the faithful to emulate the humble and obedient character traits of Abraham by making sacrifice wherever needs be without questioning.
We pray for Allah to give the head of state more wisdom, courage and energy to continue governing the country in peace and for the end of COVID-19.
At the end of the prayers, the Imam symbolically slaughtered a healthy ram for the celebration of the most important feast in Islam. The prayer session was attended by the Lamido of Mada, Right Honorable Kavayege Jibri, who also communioned with his kinsmen at his royal palace.
Over in the North-West region, Muslim leaders challenged faithful to pray for an end to the current socio-economic deadlock in the region. This message was echoed at the Muslim prayer ground in Bamenda, where Imam Musa Shaibu said a true Muslim must refrain from violence and acts that jeopardize peace and security in the region. Details with CV Banta from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
In line with teachings from the Quran, Muslim leaders pegged their preaching on obedience, challenging members of the Muslim community to abide by state laws to avoid being misguided into criminal acts that undermine peace in the region.
We are praying hard to have peace in our nation, the two regions, the Northwest and Southwest region. So we are praying very hard to make peace real in this our nation again.
The values of peace, justice and equality among the faithful have also been emphasized.
A Muslim is a man of peace. What we are sending to our followers is to be calm, to be obedient to parents, obedience to leaders, obedience to all the rules and laws of their own nation.
The Secretary General at the Northwest Governor's Office, Vian Mekala, while regretting the unfortunate recent incidents targeting the forces of law and order in the region, emphasized the need for the population to work in synergy with the military in order to assure their security.
And over in Adamawa region, heads bowed in mosque and prayer shrines across the boundary as Muslims prayed for peace and unity in Cameroon on the occasion of the Feast of Tabaski. We have Silas Nkwine from Ngaoundere with this report.
Like millions of Muslims around the world, Muslim faithful across the Adamawa region gathered in holy shrines and mosques to say prayers on Eid al-Adha, maintaining protective measures for coronavirus. Preaching at the central mosque of the Lamidat of Ngaoundere, Imam Sheikh Mahmoud Ali called for hope and charity towards the poor and on those occupying posts of responsibility to strive to help the unemployed youth.
I am delighted because called on the population to manage the public affairs with great care, taking care of the general interest.
The Bishop of Ngaoundere Diocese, His Lordship Emmanuel Abo, and a host of other authorities were part of the Tabaski feast at the Lamidat, where Imam Sheikh Mahmoud Ali equally called for repentance while praying for peace and unity in Cameroon. The symbolic slaughtering of the ram, the epic test of faith, was performed by the Lamido of Ngaoundere, Muhammadu Hayatu Isa, to commemorate God's decision when he saw Abraham's willingness to give up his son and allowed a ram to be killed instead.
Let's get the pulse of the Tabaski celebration in Boya, where Muslims there braved the early morning showers to listen to Imam Alhaji Muhammadu Abubakar of the Boya Central Mosque, who called for responsible behavior among Muslim youths. They prayed for an end to the coronavirus pandemic, as Anabel Ndike Eno Anyang reports from CRTV Southwest.
Muslim faithful in Boya came out massively to celebrate the Feast of Tabaski despite the early morning shower. While preaching from the Quran, the Imam of the Boya Central Mosque encouraged parents to build and shepherd their children against social ills while urging the youth to avoid drug abuse.
We find today youths who attack with knives, who kill, who do not have value for human life. Some of them are dropped, parents to take over their responsibility, and that the state should do their duty too.
In the meantime, some faithful have expressed gratitude to Allah for His mighty protection amid the COVID-19 pandemic and hope that He will continue to protect them.
We have prayed to Allah that He should help us and eradicate the coronavirus. I've asked Allah for long life and good health.
The feast, which brings an end to the long weekend, was attended by government authorities and other religious leaders.
The Sultan of Wandala in Mayo Sava division of the Far North has called on his Muslim brethren to uphold the values of peace and continue to work relentlessly for the stabilization of the region affected by Boko Haram insurgency. His Royal Majesty Muhammad Brahim Alhaji Bukar made the appeal in Mora while presiding at the Tabaski prayers in presence of Minister Talba Mala. Sylvester Atemkeng has more on the story in Mora.
The Tabaski feast in Mora, chief town of Mayo Sava division, unfolded in calm and serenity as Modibo Muhammad Sali led Muslim prayers of thanksgiving to Allah for the blessings and protection. He also reminded his brethren of the special position of sacrifice in the Muslim faith and called on them not to pay attention to worldly values and rather focus totally on God's commandments.
We pray for this country. We pray that our nation should experience peace and the entire community of Mora.
The message of peace and national unity also featured in their prayers as the Imam implored the Muslims to promote social cohesion. Some members of the elite of Mayo Sava division, among them the minister delegates at the presidency in charge of public contracts, Ibrahim Tabra Mala, were present at the prayer ground in Mora.
And in sports, we take you to Tokyo, Japan to discover a Cameroonian athlete who strives in the track and field discipline. At 28, Emmanuel Eseme Alogwede has also broken records in his domain and is looking forward to defending the Cameroonian colors at the Olympic Games. GT Clarisse has more.
A need for speed, steadily increasing speed. At 28, Emmanuel Eseme Alogwede has broken the national record in track and field. He finished first in the 200 meters race during the 58th National Athletics Championships in 20 seconds and 31 nanoseconds, just like Joseph Batandon did in Johannesburg in 1999. This victory did not only get him voted best male athlete for that season, it equally got him a ticket to the World Championships in Doha 2019. There, the sprinter competed in the 200 meters race but did not make it to the semis. That same year, he competed in the 4x100 meters relay and the 200 meters at the African Games but still got no medal. More speed was definitely needed to make a run at the golden future, and so this 2021, his personal best record stands at 10 seconds in the 100 meters race. 3 times national champion Kmer and coach are focused on enhancing his speed even more in Tokyo. Fast, focused, fierce, like the lion, symbol of Cameroon, Kmer will be running for the gold.
And the John Romeo Chisengok at 8:30, and it's here we call it the quits on this edition of the 7:30 News. I'll be back same time tomorrow, God willing. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
Malgré nos efforts,
despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.